Welcome to Roanoke Metaphysical Chapel's online service. It's a beautiful morning. Sunshine this morning in Roanoke, Virginia. I am Reverend Velma Bullington, your liturgist, and our speaker today is the Reverend Nancy Stokes. Welcome, welcome. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Let us open this morning with a prayer, and which I will say, and then I will say the Aramaic prayer of Jesus, the Lord's Prayer, which he said in his own tongue, of course, so many years ago. And afterward, if you will repeat and say with me the Lord's Prayer in English. Let us begin. Oh, dear beloved, we do thank you for this day. And why do we rejoice? Why? Because I can do all things to this Christ who strengthens me. And what does that mean? It means forgetting negative self-talk. It means forgetting any negativity, any negative self-talk, and talking about others. It means always looking within your spirit. It's always looking and being within your light. It is showing forth what we really are in essence, that same essence, God essence, your essence, which was in Jesus Christ, which is in us. We are so very thankful for that this day. Now, what does that mean to us, dear Lord? It means that you are all, visible and invisible. You are one presence, one mind, one power. All of everything. And this one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And I am, each one of us is your individualized expression. And ever one with your perfect life, your perfect love, your perfect substance. That means we are your essence, and we can do all things, all needful things, in that presence, by living in that presence. And that is why we rejoice this morning, knowing that that presence, in that presence, instead of fear, we have freedom, we have peace, we have harmony. No fear. Instead of sadness, we have joy. And we thank you for that today. And we thank you that we, through our actions, can spread this knowledge, this truth to others. In our city, in our communities, in our states, in our country, and globally, we can manifest your presence in our actions and create peace and harmony. And for this, our beloved, we give thanks. And now the Lord's Prayer, as Jesus said it, in the ancient classical Aramaic. Awun Dwashmeya Nith Kadeshishmak Tete Malkutha Nehwe Sewayana Akana Dwashmeya Up Bar'a Hela Lachma Sunkana Nyamana Washwak Lon How Bain, A Canadab, Hanan Schwaken Lahaya Wayne, Willa Tetlan Lenisiona, Ella Pasaman Bisha, Mitol di Lahi Makutha, Haila, Tishbo, Da, La Alam, Amen, Amen. And if you will, say the Lord's Prayer in English. Join with me, please. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom is come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Thank you. And now, Nancy Stokes, Reverend Nancy Stokes, will bring us an inspirational message.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. So yes, I do have an inspirational reading. At least I hope it will be inspirational. It's called You Can, and actually there is no author listed here. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out in the world we find that success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. I love it because it's great metaphysical philosophy, and it rhymes. Okay, and it goes along with what I'm going to talk about today, so I hope you enjoyed that. So let's change gears a little bit, and we would like to pray for others right now. And I would like for you to think about someone and hold them in your heart, as we steadfastly hold the truth that each one is a child of God, made in God's image, and that God omnipresent is one with them, with whatever they need right now, whether it be health, abundance, protection, love, right action. And we choose right now to see them as God sees them, and the only way that God can see them, the only way that God can see us, all of us, is that we are whole beings, loved and loving. We place each one in the care and keeping of God. They're already there. We know they're there. We know we are there in the care and keeping of God, but sometimes people cannot hold that for themselves. So we hold that space for them. And we see them rise in consciousness. And we know that all is well. And we say, Amen. So, now we're going to take a few moments for ourselves, and I would like for you sitting comfortably, take a few breaths. Let us each begin by making conscious intention to be here now. In our minds, we can be anywhere. I would like for you to focus, to be here right now. Let us put aside the issues of life and be fully conscious in this moment. Drinking in these words. God is over all, in all, and through us all. God is right where I am. I am at home with the Divine Spirit within which I am immersed. And I know that the law of good is flowing through me right now. I have a calm inward conviction of my union with good, that I am one with God. I am not separate. I am one, therefore, with the rhythm of all of life. And I know that divine guidance, like the presence of God, is always there. It exists at the center of my being. And I am open and receptive to the whispers of guidance that set me on the right path. I am willing to listen. I know that the Divine Spirit is operating through me right now. I say to myself what God says to me all the time, which is, this is the way, walk ye in it. I stand in the midst of the eternal ways, and I let the winds of God blow free and full around me. I'm not hampered by anything. God is always right here, right now. And I know this truth for myself, and I know it for all, and it sets us free. So let us go within just a few moments where we are lifted up. We give thanks for this time to go within. Amen. So I have a Bible verse for you today, and it comes from Mark 5:28. And this is a story about the woman who is hemorrhaging. I really don't like that word. This woman should be in the hospital like right now. This word hemorrhaging is just so visual. But she's in the street somehow. Even in her hemorrhaging state, she's in the street, and she knows that Jesus is going to walk by. She's been hearing stories about him because he's been traveling, and stories are coming from everywhere, and he happens to be in her little place, in her town right now. And so she's close to him, and she says to herself, if I just touch his garment, if I can just touch it, I know that I'm going to be healed. So her faith in Jesus' ability to heal her is evidenced by what she is saying to herself. Nobody's telling her that. She just knows she has so much faith. So, what are you saying to yourself? Are you acknowledging as truth everything that's out there? Well, she didn't. Because if she did, she would have taken herself to the hospital like right away. She held to the truth she knew within her own consciousness. We each live in a world of our own choosing, a world of consciousness. Many things may happen around us, they may happen to us, but what is the most important is what happens within us, within our consciousness. Emmett Fox said, life is consciousness. People out there may be saying all kinds of things, but what are you saying to yourself? Excuse me. Well, wherever you go, there you are. You cannot get away from you. So listen to yourself. Pay attention. I seem to say that in almost every message I give, and that's because I'm talking to myself. Pay attention. What am I focusing on? Listen to what you're saying to yourself. And that leads us right in to my message. So my message for today is connected to what we're saying to ourselves, and it is called, How's Your Spelling? Do you trust the wisdom and ingenuity of God? Simple question. Or do you tell the infinite presence exactly how you want your prayer to be answered? Now we have to remember that Jesus said, when you pray, believe you have it. What could be more direct than that? Well, he does not mention anything about begging or pleading God to give you something. Of course, I'm sure all of you know that. All of you have been watching this channel and other metaphysical teachings. I'm sure that you know that. We don't do the begging thing anymore. It is unnecessary, and it is not what Jesus taught us to do. Jesus says, become as a little child if you would enter the kingdom. Of course, we know the kingdom is harmony. It is the divine realm of ideas in our lives. It's perfect harmony within each one of us. So when the word children is used in Aramaic, it simply means you who are inexperienced, have less experience in life. So where's this kingdom, and how do we get there? Well, we know it's right here and right now. We don't have to search out there for it because it is within. All we have to do is wake up to it. So, how do we have the expectancy of a little child who is inexperienced in life? Well, I'm going to talk about, because in the Bible, whenever somebody would say children, usually they were talking to adults. They weren't talking about little kids or to little kids. But I am going to just pretend for just a while that Jesus actually meant little children, little kids. Okay, so I am going to describe to you the consciousness of a little child. And this little 3-year-old comes from a functional household in a very loving, wonderful home. This is before they've gone to school and been exposed to others outside of his family. Okay, so I want you to listen to these qualities. See if you still have any of them. And the first one is a doozy. They do not worry about what others think about them. Oh. They really don't. They wear weird clothes that don't match when they want to go grocery shopping with mom, which actually proves that they don't care what others think of them. They are not looking to see who's wearing designer diapers. They are very trusting. There's no manipulation. They are not vain, cocky, or proud. They are not critical or judgmental. At least something they may say, they're not looking at as being critical or judgmental. They're just saying what they see. They want to be helpful all the time, even when it's totally unnecessary. They have no concept of getting even. They see wonder in everything. There's no deceit, no hypocrisy, no envy. They're not trying to impress anyone, which is obvious by the clothes they choose to wear. And now that it's just about to be Halloween, I imagine there are a lot of Batmans that we're seeing in the grocery store, and spiders and dogs with costumes too. I mean, you know, they're not putting on any airs. Their actions are organically and authentically their own in every moment. You will never catch them saying, "Do these diapers make my butt look big, Mommy?" No. No. I imagine little Kevin has never said that, has he, Vincent? Doesn't care. They have the ability to dream big. They're extremely self-confident. They're fearless. They're forgiving. They hug a lot. They are fully present in the now. They do not worry about tomorrow. Little kids they seem to always be enjoying themselves, right? They're creative. There's a sense of discovery, something new. There are no social rules holding them back. They are spontaneous, teachable, open-minded, and curious. They're totally dependent on their parents. They are easily entertained. And they say it like they see it. So, let's look at that a little more closely. Are you still like this at all? How did this make you feel? Now, I did not share this list with you to make you feel inadequate. It is simply a reminder of what we lost in the way we used to see the world. This little child does not agonize over anything. And I would like to posit that as soon as they get into the company of others, all bets are off. And that they even begin to agonize over things they previously never worried about or never even thought about. But then they go to preschool and now everybody's worried about something. Adults agonize over just about everything, not trusting that their good is coming. God says, I have weapons ye know not of. I'm ingenious. My methods are sure. Trust me. Commit to me and I will take care of you. Now, when I say those words, I will take care of you, they are not coming from that God is way up over there saying that to us way down here on earth. I'm talking about the source, the God within. Because I am here and God is here. When my friend Marty first told me that, I was stunned. Literally, almost fell off my chair when she said that, because all I had ever heard is, I'm here and God is over there, way over there somewhere. So, one way to access this relationship that we have, I'm saying I'm here, God's here, is by following our intuition. And that is a wonderful gift that we have been given. One way to understand that our spiritual faculty is above the intellect. It is the still small voice. It's that hunch that you feel. It's that gut feeling. Pay attention. And Isaiah gives us this one. This is the way. Walk ye in it. That is divine guidance right there. This is the way. Walk ye in it. That's what we hear. That's what we feel. That's the hunch that we get. Who follows their intellect most of the time? Well, if it makes sense, it must be right. Right? Well, not really. Always choosing what is practical over what feels right. That is what we're taught. Most of us follow the reasoning mind, which can be a long, hard road of experience. Our culture simply does not support our feelings. It wants cold, hard facts. But I'm suggesting that we take the road less traveled and that we practice following our intuition. So we don't want to miss any moment. Like, there's a moment that doesn't really make sense rationally, but boy, it feels like the right thing. So what are we going to do? We want to be present for all moments. We don't want to miss anything. But the trick is, again, are we listening? Are we going to take the time to feel and to hear that still small voice? That's why we practice meditation. It prepares us to hear the still small voice all the time. When you're in a crowd, when there are things going on around you, you can hear that still small voice because it never leaves you. It is always there. So our intuition is the superconscious mind. It is that within me which knows. I love that description. So that within me which knows what I need to know right now. And all I have to do is tune in. All I have to do is pay attention. Our superconscious mind is not buried in the deep ocean. It is not buried in the highest mountain. It is not way out in outer space. It is in the last place we would think to look. and that is within. It doesn't take a journey out somewhere. It takes the inner journey. Well, now we have the conscious mind also, which we are using right now because we are aware of where we are and what we're doing. Now there's the subconscious mind. And that is a power which carries out the ideas that we want to put into it. And sometimes we put things into it we don't really want to, but we do it anyway because we're just totally unaware. It is where our beliefs reside. Now, there is a divine design. It is a spiritual prototype for our body and our affairs. The perfect idea of us is in the superconscious mind. Most of us are actually not expressing what we call the divine design. But why is that? It's because we have put pictures of old age, disease, death, poverty, and lack into our subconscious mind. And it has taken hold and it has outpictured. Because the subconscious mind can only follow our instructions and has no power of its own. It is never going to say, now listen, you stop thinking like that. It will never chastise you for anything negative that you're saying. It will not tell you, oh, you cannot afford that. No, you can't get that. No, it's not going to give you good advice or bad advice. Or for that matter, any advice because it can't. So, let us give new pictures and new ideas to our mind consciously, and they will move into the subconscious and change our lives. Now, this is really exciting news because we are not victims. We are not left to our own devices. We can affirm, let me now express the divine idea in body, mind, and affairs. If we want to change anything in our life, we actually have to change our thoughts about it. So here's a story from Catherine Ponder. She said that a woman came to see her because she had been trying to sell her house forever. It just wasn't happening. So she went to see Catherine Ponder and she said, I don't understand what's happening. I know this is what I want to happen. And so the first thing that Catherine Ponder asked her is, just describe your house to me. And so the woman sat there for like 20 minutes, gushing and going on and on about her grandparents who had lived there and her parents who had lived there, and now she lived there with her family, and that well, actually she didn't live there now because actually the kids were all gone, but she was still living in that house but by herself. And she said, but it's time for me to sell the house, but and she just kept going on and on and on, and then all of a sudden she was like, oh, I really love this house. It's not a house to me, it's my home. And Catherine just sat there and looked at her because she came to her own aha moment, was that she was so attached that she could not make space for someone else to come in and purchase her home because she was holding on to that energy so tightly that she loved that house. So she had to release her house from her consciousness. And of course she had lots of work to do after she left Catherine's office. But she released the house and it sold quickly. But once she came to that realization and understood that it was so deep within her, then she was able to pull it out and say, oh no, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to leave this house to someone else. And so she released it and it all worked out just fine. So newsflash, thoughts are things. Okay, we have built up certain thoughts until they become fixed. We meet those in our experiences. So she couldn't sell their house because she was still holding tight. So how do these things become fixed? Well, some thoughts we know just come in one ear and go out the other, right? The old saying is, birds may fly over, but we do not give them permission to build nests in our hair. Okay, so if we continually think a certain thought, it's almost like we have invited that bird to make that nice little nest in there, but I call that a pigeonhole. So you have a thought once, it doesn't stick, a couple times, okay, now somehow it's stuck. There's a tiny little pigeonhole in your mind. And every time when you think about it, that pigeonhole gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it bursts out into your experience because it can't do anything else but that. And that happens with good, what we would call a good or a bad experience. It comes to us by law, not by accident. because there are no accidents. And here's why. We create like God creates. From the invisible to the visible, from the idea to the form. Here's an example. An architect has an idea in his mind for a beautiful building. And so his action, from the idea, he goes into action. He draws out the plans, and the plans go to the people who do the construction. So it went from the idea in his head to the form, which is the building. And that's exactly how God creates everything. It's in the invisible first, and then comes into the visible. So, what are you building up in consciousness? Are you using words like, oh, life is hard. It's filled with so much disappointment. I just can't get anything right. Nothing ever good happens to me. Things are always going wrong. I'm so unlucky. I can't afford it. Well, I just never have enough time. The whole world is against me. And my mother's favorite saying, I might as well go into the garden and eat worms. If you are saying any of these things or semblance of any of these things, I want you to remember. Words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Words are energy. We want to use them wisely. When you say a thing out loud, you can't unsay it. If someone heard it, especially if it's negative or hurtful, they can't unhear it. It's like a little ping of the bell on the inside. Once it hits that inside metal, the sound is released, the energy is released, and you can't unhear that. You cannot unring a bell. And people cannot unhear what you've said to them. So we also want to be careful and use our words wisely when we're talking to ourselves. Because we talk to ourselves all the time. I'm pretty sure everybody does that. So if we want to be successful, if we want to have a successful life, we have to treat ourselves with love and kindness. And we also need to be glad to be ourselves because we are each individual wonderful expressions of God. There's no person on earth, even if you're a twin, that's like you. In the 1930s in London, they came out with a brand new song. It was called I'm Tickled to Death, I'm Me. If you want to listen to it, you can go onto YouTube because it is there. It's the cutest little ditty, and everybody thought it was the most wonderful thing. So I encourage you to meditate, to slow down. Sometimes just do absolutely nothing by sitting. Just contemplate your life, contemplate the universe. Enjoy being you. Enjoy trusting God. Trust your intuitive leads. Practice doing just that. We've already practiced way too much following that intellect. So stop using your intellect to think things out, thinking that you can solve every single problem by your rational thinking. Instead, practice trusting your inner guidance. And know that the omnipresence of God is imminent and available for you and for everyone else that you know, everyone on the planet. Remembering that I am here, and God is here. Let's close our eyes for just a minute. Let's get still. God says, I have ways that will astound you. Trust me. So I choose right now to let God work through me, to astound me. And when God says, walk this way, this is the way, walk ye in it, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to listen for that still small voice. I am going to listen. I'm going to say yes right now to the divine plan, which is in place for me and for all. And we all affirm together, and so it is. And I add a strong amen to that. Thank you.
We have a couple of announcements this morning. And first of all, I want to thank you, Reverend Nancy Stokes, for that wonderful Sunday message. We'll keep those words with us. What are we spelling?
Thank you.
We have to have our spelling absolutely right. Thank you again. And thank you, of course, to Vince Monroe, our computer tech, who brings this sermon, this service to everybody every Sunday. Thank you so much for making that possible for us, Vince. We appreciate you. In this life are two certainties. Number one is God, divine spirit, always here with us. Whether we admit it or not, always here. Spirit ready to help us, guide us, be with us. And number two is change. And times are changing for Roanoke Metaphysical Chapel. Our church property has been sold. So we want to let you know that today is the very last service of Roanoke Metaphysical Chapel. Over the years, our beautiful chapel site and also online, you congregants and participants have supported Roanoke Metaphysical Chapel through your presence, your service, and your gifts. Our wonderful pastor, Reverend Dr. Reed Brown, and the church board, all of us, thank you from our hearts for your past support. And we are also grateful for being able to share for over 20 years services with you. May they have been a blessing to you, as they have certainly been a blessing to us. And please remember that no matter where you are, where we are, near or far, there is really no separation or distance. We are all in God's space, God's presence. And when we know that, we feel each other's energies. We thank you for contributing your beautiful, loving energy to our services. And we know when a door closes, more doors and windows open. This is the truth. And so even though our door has closed on the chapel, when we keep what we have learned here, the teachings and learning about oneness with each other, with our divine presence, and we apply what we have learned, then doors, amazing opportunities will open for us, not just the ministry here, but for every one of you out there listening. And we see wonderful lives and wonderful opportunities ahead of us all. And for that, we truly rejoice. And now, the benediction. Our beloved God, we are grateful for the times we have spent together learning more about our oneness with you, our oneness with each other, for we are one spirit. And as we leave this service today, may we commit to understanding there is no separation. May we apply this, no separation. Our hearts are grateful for all that has been imparted to us and for our spiritual growth. Because of the Roanoke Metaphysical Chapel teachings and ministry, we are prepared for our life, for all of our life's lessons, knowing that the longest road is the inner, wonderful journey within. We give thanks for your light that leads us and shines before us, which has always guided us when we have allowed it to, and will always continue to guide us on our individual, wonderful, interior journeys. Thank you, our beloved, for this day, for this life. Amen.
Amen.
Peace and love to each one of you,
Amen.
always. Blessings.
And I just want to say thank you so much. Oh, and this is Vincent.
Hey,
Yes,
everybody.
hey, Vincent. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming and watching us all this time. We appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity. Get in here. And thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to speak. I've enjoyed it so much. And this is our tech. He's wonderful.
Isn't it?
I'm okay.
Yes.
And,
Yay, Vince.
and thank you, Velma.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you
and
both.
thank you, Nancy. It's been a lot of years, friends.
Yeah.
We enjoy you.
Yes.
Watch your spelling.
That's
I
right.
like
I love that.
Bye.